Hello, everyone. Welcome to another review from Simply Nerdy. I'm your host, Steven. I'm joined today by Austin, Anthony, David, and Jack to go over Metroid Prime 4. It is finally that time to review Metroid Prime 4. Can't believe we're saying that, how long it's been in development. But we're going to do this review a little bit differently. So we're gonna each of us give our high level thoughts of what made this game special or not special, or whatever we have to say about our own reviews. We'll give the review score, and then we'll have the spoiler discussion after. So I will go first. For myself, I'd like to touch on the graphics first because I think this is the best looking game Nintendo has ever made. And I love the attention to detail, especially for like the visor details are outstanding and add a huge amount of immersion, like seeing Samus's reflection and seeing the environmental changes to Samus's suit is insane. Like watching your gun freeze in low temperatures and then slowly thaw out. Lightning and atmosphere also is just super cool. I love the different environments you got to explore. In terms of performance, man, this game was like flawless. I ran in 4K, 60 frames per second, and I swear that game was buttery smooth. I loved it. The load times are short, and that made backtracking a little bit easier. Gameplay mechanics. Samus, I don't think, has ever felt better to control. I think her movement and aiming feel precise and smooth, and I love how there are multiple control options. So I admit I still have not tried the mouse controls, but the dual stick controls are awesome. I love the motion and the gyro that they give you there. And I swear all the weapons feel more powerful. Speaking of gameplay mechanics, like your missiles especially, just feel so great. And even though your beams use ammo, that was one of the things I had a problem with the Metroid Prime 2 is limited ammo, but they did it really well here. And I did not mind the limited ammo. I actually kind of liked it. And I kind of liked what they did with the power beam too. There's a thing later and the spoiler thing that made the power beam better. World design, like I said, areas felt great to explore. The sand area, maybe a little bit mixed. I'm a little bit mixed on the sand, on the Soul Valley. Soul Valley, maybe, yeah, I wish there was a little bit more to do with Soul Valley. That's probably my only critique there. But all the other, I loved the dungeons. I loved the different places you got to explore in this. Overall, I really did enjoy the story and the writing. I love the environmental storytelling. That's what Metroid Prime excels at. It does great here. My only critique for the story is I wish that Sylux was more involved in the story. I mean, he kind of shows up at the beginning and then disappears and then comes back. So that was a little weird. But I loved the story that we got with this ancient civilization that's kind of gone extinct. And yeah, it was fun uncovering kind of what happened there. So mixed feelings on that part, but replayability, like this game unlocks hard mode after you've completed it for the first time, and hard mode is significantly more challenging and it'll make it fun for me to revisit later. And obviously if you want to scan everything 100% completion, like you don't want to miss those permanent misses, though those permanent misses for me are a little bit frustrating. I don't like those. I don't like to permanently miss something. So I wish there was a way to go back and get the things I missed at any time. Anyway, that's kind of my rapid fire thoughts on Metroid Prime 4. I'll have more to say in the spoiler section.
You know, after having played the game all the way through, I can confidently say that I was not as bothered by the NPCs as a lot of people were. Was it a different experience than people might be used to for Metroid? Sure. And you're always going to have some people that are upset about that. And you know, that was a risk that Nintendo took. I feel that, similar to what Steve said, I really enjoyed the visuals, the atmosphere, the environments, even the gameplay. Oh, it was so good. I really enjoyed the different abilities that you get. And that's where I feel like Metroid Prime really shines. I'm still very new to the Metroid scene, but that all the mechanics of the game were just top-notch for me. It's very, very fun. Where it lacked in funness, I want to say, is Soul Valley, definitely. That was one of the things that I really had a hard time enjoying, but not because I spent an absurd amount of time in the end game. I actually did a decent amount of blazing trails as I went, going out of my way to collect green crystals, and even then, I was just like, "Oh, this is such a chore," and so, yeah, that was probably the biggest drawback for me, the biggest complaint that I have. But stunning visuals, great music. I love the intro, man. I could listen to that intro every day, or I turn the game on. It's so good. But other music as well in the game is very nice. It would have been nice to have some more music as you're riding in Soul Valley. That probably would have upped the enjoyment factor a little bit. But yeah, I do feel like there were moments where the puzzles, and I did briefly touch on this during our impressions video, but the puzzles were both enjoyable and challenging, but also some of them were in your face, like, here's what you need to do. There was an interesting balance. I can't say that it was like well centered, it wasn't very like an accurate amount of puzzleness, for lack of a better phrase. It was both extremes. You either had like in your face obvious clues and answers, and very difficult to find your way around, and sometimes it required me doing a little research, because I just don't have the time to sit there and figure it out for an hour. But that's also a personal problem of mine. So overall, though, just I thought it was a great game, and it does make me excited for what's to come for the future of Metroid Prime 4. Hopefully they continue to make more. I hope that it got enough support that they will.
I consider myself Metroid is my favorite Nintendo IP, so I'm pretty invested. I'm invested in the series. I'm invested in any new game that comes along, and in this case, this is my 200% review. I played the game twice, although I did switch over like right at the end boss, so I haven't fought Silex in hard mode yet. And Anthony tells me that that's a tough battle. So anyway, but this is basically 200%. I've done everything I can, like 100% twice. Done everything I can. The funny thing is that it's, if you have been on the internet at all, you know that the opinions are divisive on this game. The entire time I played it, I was like questioning reality. Like, are we playing the same game? These people that had very strong opinions about NPCs, about difficulty. That was one I was really surprised to hear. People were saying the game was too easy, and I couldn't understand it. I was like, no, this is, as far as combat goes, this is the most challenging Metroid Prime game I've ever played. Some of these bosses were really challenging and tough, and that's something that I welcome in the Metroid series. I feel like I've grown up to appreciate challenge and difficulty a lot, and so Metroid Dread had that, where they added a lot more challenge into the formula compared to older Metroid games. I was like, I love this, and so that combat challenge was brought into this game too for me. My theory later, when I kept hearing people say the game is too easy, I realized maybe they're not talking about combat. Maybe they're talking about puzzles. Maybe they're talking about exploration, because this game does give a little bit more guidance, right? You have Miles McKenzie, the NPC. He'll call you on the radio and stuff, and give a little more guidance about, maybe what you should do next. I don't mind that, because I think it makes it more accessible to people playing this, getting to Metroid for the first time. So I think that's overall okay, And then the puzzles, I think that the puzzles you're forced to do are a bit simpler a lot of the time. But if you like put more than the bare minimum effort, there's some really good puzzles. Like, as Austin said, there's some that were challenging enough he thought he had to look them up. So if you're trying to get all the items, all the scans and everything, the puzzles were just as good as previous Metroid Prime games I've played, in my opinion. And some of them used abilities in fun ways, but maybe because they're optional, people didn't engage with all those. And so, once again, I feel like that is that's the trade-off. Like they made it accessible in a way for newcomers to get the key upgrade, but then like people that are really invested, you know, have a really satisfying puzzle layered on top of that. You know, the dungeons, a lot of them do feel maybe a bit more linear than the past. That's a complaint I saw from people, like, you know, and I don't mind. You know, it reminds me of classic Zelda, kind of the structure they gave the game. You have Soul Valley, that's kind of the hub. You explore with, you know, the Hyrule Field or the Great Sea, and you go through that, and you have these connected areas that are sort of like dungeons. The atmosphere, music, it's beautiful. I had the music stuck in my head for weeks. Was listening on Nintendo Music. I wish they'd add the rest of the soundtrack, but as you said, it's excellent. I'm gonna jump in real fast with Soul Valley. It didn't bug me. You know, the whole time I was playing, I kept thinking it was almost refreshing sometimes. You play Metroid Prime 1, and you have backtracking in that game. You know, and sometimes I think I'd rather drive through Soul Valley than backtrack through Magmore Caverns 100 times. So, you know, because, you know, Magmore Caverns in the first game is kind of like, you know, the path to get back to anywhere. And so you're going down these elevators and going through this linear path, backtracking over and over. And so I kind of was like, it's kind of refreshing to have this open area where I can go in, you know, multiple directions, not just this, you know, just this narrow corridor that I have to go through. So I appreciate that. I can admit that Soul Valley is a bit empty, but it's not big. You know, anybody who is complaining about Soul Valley, I hope that they don't play Wind Waker. Soul Valley takes 90 seconds to get across its longest point, and the Great Sea it was estimated at like 10 to 15 minutes, okay? You're not spending that much time in Soul Valley. And as far as the green crystals collecting goes, you know, anybody who had a problem with that, I hope you collected those giant rocks. You know, like later in the game, once you get the certain item, you can break these large silver rocks. And if you just, I did the science, so nobody else had to. On my second playthrough, I didn't collect a single of the normal green crystals. I actively avoided them. There was like a couple close calls because they're all over the place. I had to like jump off the bike at the last minute so I didn't smash through them accidentally. But I actively avoided it until the end, and then I went and found all these huge silver rocks that you can eventually break. It was 75% of what you need of the total. Like, just a huge amount. So if you do like basic collecting the rest of the time and then just get those, I will say the shrines have like these little green crystal caches in them as well. So I got those and the big silver rocks, and that's 75%. So if you do some, you know, basic collecting, and I'm not talking like go out of your way, I mean just like if you're walking and you see a penny on the ground, you pick it up. You know, it would be tedious to, you know, go with that being the main objective, but no, I would just do it on point A to point B, make a point to smash through some crystals along the way. So anyway, I think the foundation of the game is incredible. I think with some simple patches, these things that like ruin the game for people, it would not be hard. Like, you know, just do a slider. Okay, you need 25% less green crystal or something. And suddenly, okay, then no big deal. Another complaint was the NPCs talking too much. Add a little option in the menu. You know, no radio, unsolicited radio from the NPCs. Okay, I don't have to hear them talking. That's fixed. People were complaining that Samus feels like an NPC. She don't have any voice acting. They could probably add voice acting pretty easily. They don't have to change her animations. You know, she's behind her suit the whole time, so they could add voice acting at some point. I think relatively easily, and you know, another problem solved. What I come down to is that some of the loudest complaints about the game, I think, are not fatal flaws. I think they could be patched pretty easily, resolve a lot of problems. And you know, maybe I'll wrap it up for now, but I wrote a super detailed review, you know, with some of my unpopular opinions, and I did some myth busting, the common complaints I've seen, and I did the math on that. And maybe I won't share it now, but it kind of supports what I've been saying. So anyway, I'll pause it here for now, and I'll hand it over to Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just kind of cover, I guess, in much more brief, some of the same ideas that I had that David was talking about, and then also just some of my, the particular standout things for me. I guess preface it by saying that for me, I think Metroid Prime 4 might be my favorite in the series, and that's not like a countercultural reaction. I feel like I need to put that out there. But for me, there was a number of very particular reasons why, but I do want to also kind of back up some of what David was saying. The NPCs, that was the thing that I was the most shocked about with regards to people's opinions. Did they add a lot? No, not really. They just, to me, they felt like, I guess they felt a little human. I guess that the basic idea is an archetype. We've been trained to hate them because that they're, they appear often, but I can't help but think that archetypes are based in reality, and we've just been trained to hate a very particular set of them. And Miles McKenzie is kind of a poster child of that. So there was some moments when I was like, "Ooh, why did you have to say that?" And then that was it, and he didn't really have many chances to bother me, So the exposure I thought was pretty minimal, and that was how I viewed most of the NPCs. So the green crystals, I will admit it's uninspired. There's not much interesting to it. It's more like something that you can do on the way. One thing that I feel like I can kind of acknowledge though is, and I this is anecdotal, but I do remember reading that a lot of what we got from MP4 is basically what they were trying to salvage from the original conception of the game, which was going to be something more like, as I understood it, third person kind of Breath of the Wild style exploration, and Soul Valley is something that they kind of reclaimed from that. So there's a part of me that feels like, hey, I guess they put something to do in there. Again, that's not a high bar, so I'm not trying to defend the green crystals. I just felt like the amount of collecting that I felt that I had to do, at least as I was going from point to point, I got to the end of the game. I'm pretty sure I just got everything I needed without really trying. So I understand why people don't like it, but I felt like it was pretty unobtrusive if you were to treat it kind of like one does with a JRPG grind. If you kind of put it into just intersperse it throughout the game, it's more manageable. I guess I view green crystals the same way, but I won't try to defend it beyond that because, again, it's not incredibly interesting. I think I probably won't spend a ton of time rehashing some of the things on the like the performance, the graphics, the locales. I'll just say that I thought they did a good job with that. I felt like Soul Valley was an interesting set piece that I could kind of get a feel for the type of environmental storytelling that they were portraying with it. So that, there was even some elements to that I was able to enjoy. But I guess the crux of my review is, the things that really took the game and elevated it to, potentially my favorite of the Prime games. So Steven talked about this, the kind of the crunchiness of the gameplay, I'll call it. And then also the control options. So I'm first going to start off by saying that, so I played the game twice as well. I immediately went and did a hard mode playthrough, and it was a lot of fun and tough as nails. The first playthrough I did dual stick, second playthrough I did mouse mode, and I am going to waste no time in evangelizing the heck out of mouse mode. The game goes from good to great just because of that. And I think the moment that I realized that was on my first playthrough, fighting the final boss and realizing, oh, they just took away my lock-on aiming. I have to use this twin stick controls, and I'm getting destroyed. And anyway, the free aim challenges, mouse mode, once you get used to it, I was very tickled. I was impressed by how well they implemented it. The game was honestly kind of built to purpose for that mode, and once I got used to it early on in my second playthrough, I couldn't go back. It was fantastically implemented. Given what they were working with, it's not like the most comfortable mouse in the world, but I think we talked about it before. David had some tricks, holding it at kind of 45-degree angle to make it easier to reach the buttons with your thumb. It worked surprisingly well. I wondered if, like the first time through, when I saw those options, I'm like, well, that feels like kind of a clunky concession. Once like I said, once I got used to mouse mode, I preferred it for almost everything. There was just one exception, and it's the motion puzzles. The mouse is not great for the motion puzzles, largely because the sensitivity is terrible for those for some random reason. The sensitivity, you can max it out for anything else, but the moment you get to the motion puzzles, it's like, nope, you get one sensitivity and it's real dang slow. So, but yeah, like David said, you just pick up the controller, use the stick, put it down. I mean, it's a little funny that they didn't just let you use the stick while you had the controller in mouse mode, but whatever. It still worked. Anyway, so yes, mouse mode was my most favorite thing about the game. I think I would compare it very favorably to how they did the motion controls in Metroid Prime 3. There's a part of me that kind of misses that implementation, but let's be real. Motion only controls are awful, and the only reason that Metroid Prime 3 did such a good job is because it had the IR, the sensor bar, and we're probably never going to see that again, especially since the Switch is a mobile, a hybrid console. So mouse mode, it felt like for me the future. I hope it's the future of the franchise. I hope that they keep on building the games around that. So, and then just to get through my last thoughts, because I don't want to carry on too long. I mentioned the crunchiness of the gameplay. I love how the different weapons you can get in your arsenal actually feel like more than just more different ways to do damage. I was tickled when I found that missiles actually have a concussive effect. Like, the game's always described as a concussive blast, but it actually sends, most enemies flying. And that's even more fun when you get a certain upgrade that I'll leave nameless, I suppose, for the time being. And then the beam upgrades, I felt like they all kind of had their different applications that I thought were really fun and strategic. So, like, the combat just felt more dynamic to me. And then I guess my last parting thought, I think maybe on the panel I'm the resident masochist. I'm the person who likes challenge. Most of the time, unless it's like a Souls-like game, I crank up the difficulty to maximum and I leave it there. And I was tickled that even on a normal mode playthrough, there was some moments when I was surprised to see a game over screen. That I'm pretty sure 1 through 3, I played all 3 games and never got a single game over in my normal mode playthroughs. Hyper mode in Metroid Prime 3 does not count because that mode was absolutely nuts. Other than that, though, I don't think Metroid Prime has ever been this difficult, and hard mode made it even crazier. And I love a challenge, so I was very tickled. So, overall, I'm very pleased, and I think that despite some of the game's admitted warts, that I still just had a blast with it. Totally agree.
All right, Jack, let's go to you, man, and then we'll give our scores.
So, just for some context, I'm going to be the odd man out here. So, Metroid Prime 1 and 2 are one of my favorite games of all time, especially Metroid Prime 2. I'm not sure what really clicked with me so much from that game that made me love it so much more than Prime 1. Probably Quadraxis. He's my favorite boss in that series. Still is, even after Metroid Prime 4. But there was always something about the atmosphere of those games. This foreboding atmosphere with the dark world and that. You're all alone in here. And the story's kind of just slowly unfolding through scan logs, and with the second one you're having to go through all these being fortresses and stuff. It's just so unwelcoming, and there was something great about that. And I love this series so much that I took days off of work to play Metroid Prime 4. I never do that, but this was my exception. It was 18 years later. I wanted this game to be good. And the first signs was obviously I saw the miles, and I didn't really like that, but I was gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he went away. Then of course Miles ended up not being my most hated NPC because he actually kind of goes away at one point, and the other NPCs just stick around forever near the end, it feels like. But after 18 years, I wish there was more work done, I guess is what I'd say. All the upgrades feel like it was playing Prime 1 again with just Psychic tied onto it, like Flex Tape Guy hitting the tank that's with water coming out, Psychic. And then now it's a new ability, but it does the exact same thing. So that's kind of what it felt like for me. Then there was the green crystal grind. If you watch the Skilled Up review, me and him actually had a 1-for-1 experience with it. So he kind of explained it better, so I won't go into it completely. If you want to see my experience, just watch his review. But yeah, 2 hours of just running around doing crystals, because I was the guinea pig here. I remember getting on Discord with these guys and saying, has Nintendo lost their mind, or have I just been running around a desert for almost an hour collecting green crystals? Like, I was the guinea pig. I thought the green crystals were like some extra content or something that you didn't have to do. I completely forgot about them till the very end. So everybody can be thankful that I told you all about the grind so you can do it during the game. But I didn't. I beat the game pretty fast because I took work off and I just kind of wanted the game to be done at that point, which isn't a good point to have to do the green crystal grind in when you want the game to be done and you're running around 2 hours in this desert doing nothing but smashing your face and the stuff. But I think most of my gripes will be in the spoiler section, so I'll just leave it there since we're running out of time.
All righty. Thank you, everyone. All right, now we're going to give our scores. So I'll start off since I went first. So I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10. Austin, how about you, man?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Okay, Antonio.
I'm gonna give it a 9 as well.
David?
I'm gonna give it a 9.
Oh, man. And Jack?
6.5.
And that brings the official Simply Nerdy score for Metroid Prime 4 to an 8.2. Maybe we'll just say 8. To an 8 out of 10. That'll be the official score. I don't know. I guess I'll round down or round up as needed. But yeah, there you go. Now we're going to get into the spoiler section and the more discussion part of the review. So if you have not played Metroid Prime 4, now's the time to fix it. Go play it. Come back for this discussion. All right, guys, let's talk some spoiler.
I'm glad that you guys brought up a lot of topics and things in your reviews that I completely forgot because there were some really challenging fights. I loved the last fight with Silex. I thought that was so much fun.
That was the best part of the game.
Yes.
Yeah. Taking you
I'm at least
between...
happy you went
That
to
was
the
a
spoiler.
highlight,
Before it was annoying. And everybody's
Yeah.
dying, you have to revive them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was like,
Like-
oh no, Silex.
I was
I
like-
know,
and they
there
were
were
saying, like-
NPCs. How could you do this, Silex?
I can't even imagine on hard mode, like, every hit, bam, okay, gotta
No, me neither.
res your teammate
No.
every time.
It's
Oh,
part
my
of
nerd.
But I will say that what you figure out quickly is that honestly, you're actually not very worried about your teammates in hard mode. There's a particular attack. I don't feel like either it didn't hit nearly as hard in normal mode, or they're just, I don't know. What I know is that there's an attack that's very hard to dodge until you kind of figure out how to see when it's coming and do the necessary steps. But holy cow, it did like an entire energy tank every second, and you had to sit there mashing a button to break out, and it took at least like 3 to 4 seconds to break out. So that's 3 full energy tanks. Like I was near the end. I was when I was rezzing people, I'm like, the only thing that's dangerous right now is whether or not I'm going to get hit while I'm at this. I was dying way more than they were. It was absolutely bonkers, and actually I enjoyed myself. I actually lost quite a few times, and for a while I was like, do I want to keep doing this? I'm getting so upset. Mouse mode. That's the battle where mouse mode, especially in hard mode. I don't know how you can beat the game on hard mode if you're not playing in mouse mode,
Yeah, seriously.
because those
Dang.
some of those,
Dang.
oh, it was nuts.
Similar to what David said earlier, I kind of forced myself. I was determined to play this game with mouse controls instead of motion controls. I loved it on the Wii for corruption. I actually enjoyed using the almost wand-like, like you're like Samus's arm is an extension of yours,
Yeah.
kind of a thing, with the Wiimote.
Mm-hmm.
In certain cases, because the Wii had its own challenges with motion controls.
Yes.
Wii Motion Plus helped with that, by the way. But the mouse controls in this
Sure
game
did.
were fantastic. Yeah, I did really enjoy that.
I didn't know if you'd use those. I didn't know who on the panel had. So
Yeah, your tip actually, where you said to adjust it 45 degrees, it helped. It helped a little bit.
it doesn't have to be 45 exactly. Just
Yeah,
you just-
sure. But you know what I mean. Just kind of turning it so that it's a little more comfortable to reach for your thumb. And that did help. I think it would also have helped if I played on a better surface, because I pretty much just played on my couch that sits more like a love seat. So I have two arms on my side, and I just cross my legs and put a book on with a mouse pad, and I'm like, okay, this is all the space I got.
Yeah.
So,
I say I did. A good surface helps. Like you could, if you're playing on a desk, it would be fine.
yeah.
I had like a laptop desk, like a little portable surface for a laptop, and it has like a mouse area. That's what I used. And it just worked great. So
Yeah.
But I haven't done
So-
that final
yeah,
boss
good.
fight yet that Anthony's talking about. So like I said, I did say 200%. It's it may be 199% for me. So I still need to fight Silex in hard mode, but and I'm nervous and excited to see how challenging that is, because the boss just before that, the Omega Griever or whatever, that was brutal. My goodness. Yeah, agree with me, Anthony. The Omega Griever on hard mode. It's just
Yes, yeah, that was. I remember that being quite difficult to keep my head. But I will say that backtracking through the Great Mines in hard mode puts even that to shame.
yeah, because
Dang.
you said how there's a part where you now have to fight two of the I don't know what, I can't remember what they're called, the large grunts or whatever, and you're in this room with two of them at a time. I have to admit that I backtracked through there and I just ran away. I didn't want to fight two at once. So,
Dude, the mines were intense, man. That
yeah,
was some intense crap. I was like, dude, Metroid
Yeah.
Prime 4 just turned into a horror game. It's
And,
crazy.
The Great Mines is a place that a lot of people have complained about as far as the design goes. And the interesting thing is that people were saying how it's just a long corridor. If you look at the map, that's one of the myths I'm gonna bust right now. The map is not this. People kept saying that, so I was expecting it, but no, the map is this, this descent around like this central shaft, and it's multi levels. I can understand why maybe people felt like it was just this one long corridor, because it's not the most interesting visually.
Their faces are just long corridors. That's what
Yeah. You're in caves, so it might feel like you're just going through a long cave, but you're jumping down this multi-level thing that is, it's circling around this central shaft, and it doesn't focus on puzzles in that place. The challenge there is this tension, right? You have to make noise to progress, but you don't want them, because you're gonna summon hordes of enemies, and so that tension made it interesting for me as a different experience from all the other dungeons. It's like, okay, like Steven said, almost like a horror game. Like,
yeah.
get past this barrier, I'm gonna have to blow it up. It's gonna be noisy, and the scary music's gonna start.
I was making
Exactly.
too much noise, and the NPC had to be like, "Damn it! Stop making so much noise. They're summoning them." And I'm like, "I don't care. Shoot more missiles." I had to eventually
missiles.
stop, but yeah,
I was just
I
saying
was making way too much noise.
that if you're doing hard mode, then that's like one area where control beam, that's just absolutely necessary, because there's a few sections where you're forced to kind of survive a certain amount of time with these hordes of enemies coming. And I was dying multiple times, and Anthony was telling me that trick, because it just gives you a moment to like shoot off this beam and in slow motion and hit a few enemies, because they like I gotta have some crowd control here. So anyway, it was in hard mode you don't want to make more noise than necessary. It's a challenge. Anyway, Great Minds, I can understand why people might not like it as much if the only thing they care about is isolation and puzzles. But I thought it was an interesting change that I kind of enjoyed for once. I wouldn't want everything to be that way, but. And the cool thing, if you are trying to get 100% in this game and you do backtracking, a lot of the areas are different. The theme, the first time you explore them, it's like this theme of you're like waking this place up, right? You're exploring this lost alien civilization. You're trying to figure out what happened. And you're doing these scans, and it's like you're the investigator. You've got your magnifying glass. You're trying to figure out what happened to this alien people, and this theme of like you're changing the environment. You go to Volt Forge, you're like reactivating this factory, and you're like building your motorcycle basically as you turn things on, and these changes are, so that puzzle of how do I reactivate this place. You go to the next area, you go to the ice belt, and the theme there, once again, you're changing the environment. You're kind of thawing out this lab. It also was almost like a little bit of a horror element to it, because if you scan things, you're like seeing, okay, there's these pods everywhere, and they obviously have creatures in them. It might not be a good idea to thaw this place out. And so, but you're getting to change the environment, and it continues. You reach like the lava place flare pool, and in that case, you're not activating a factory. You're kind of shutting it down. When you go back to these places, you won't be able to take the exact same paths through that you did the first time. Like flare pool, especially, that place. You kind of leave that place in a hurry because it's like collapsing and exploding. So if you go back for 100%, things are going to be different. For one thing, you might enjoy that you don't have the NPCs following you. But it's a different experience. Same with Great Minds. The first time you go through there, you have help. Second time, you got to find a different path. So I enjoyed that theme of like you are changing the environment, and if you go back, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have to find a different way forward. So
Right.
I liked it. Basically, the combat is excellent.
Fights were challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, lots more
Too.
challenging.
So I'll just start here. Silex was so absent from the game, I forgot he was even the antagonist of Subplots.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
The only
Yeah, I
the
totally
only
agree.
interesting thing about Silex, and it's been confirmed from comments of the producer, is that he's intended to come back. So I don't think that, and he said that like this wasn't the game where you're done with Silex. I don't know why he wasn't featured more, but anyway, the ending kind of goes with that. The ending kind of leaves loose ends, leaves things open for him to return somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure all the NPCs will somehow live. And that's the one thing about the NPCs. I'm like, wow, these guys are so useless. I'm having to revive them, yet all of a sudden we leave them against like 50 hordes, and all of a sudden she's back like, you thought I would die? I'm like, yeah, you're worthless. I kind of did think you would die. You know?
Oh man.
I mean, I figured the story wouldn't let you die, but I mean, it's kind of just my view of.
Well, I was sad to find that some of the missions I actually lost because their health got too low. So, in some alternate universe, maybe
Same.
they do die.
Yeah, maybe. It's just the second they leave, they're like, dang, Samus isn't looking. Now I can pull out my real weapon or something. But, alright, so let's go with another one. The 3 guns that you get are literally just rehashes of the first game's guns. So there's the electric beam, there's the fire beam, and there's the ice beam, all from Metroid Prime 1. So
True, but I think the implementation is immensely better.
I mean, it's kind of the same. The freeze gun still freezes stuff. You can use them like space pirates that are flying, and, shatter them. And then the fire works really well, and like the ice enemies, it's cool to watch them, kind of fade from existence when you use the plasma beam on them.
Right, and I don't. I mean, it's different. I mean, just how it feels mechanically, like the lightning having that chaining effect, and especially if you use.
Oh, that was really cool.
Yeah, the charge shots.
Not even just the normal one, like just the lightning. I like how fast the lightning is compared to the first game, and then enemies are it's good for crowd control if they're standing near each other, it has that chain effect. And then if you use the charge version of it, my goodness, that's just like the enemies like disintegrate into electricity. it's just crazy. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I agree that it's the same, the same kind, but implemented better in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess. Well, you better hope so. It's been like 22 years, something like that. When did the first one come out? It's probably even longer.
I think it's been 25 years. It was probably 2001, 2000. It was GameCube.
Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of like This is the point where It's just to be expected. The gunplay is going to be a lot better. It's 18 years after the third game. Better hope that they could add more physics and stuff, and just, I don't know what to say, just interactions, with these weapons, because there's so much more you can do nowadays. But it still stands. So the exact same weapons from Metroid Prime 1. Why couldn't they come up with anything else? I don't know. But then the other one that really disappointed me was Viola. I don't know what the point of Viola was, except to just be a dune buggy in the desert. Like, they do this whole thing of like this awesome intro of it, music's blasting, and you're destroying stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so ready for this bike to have like full front and center in this game, and then they never really use it again, except for like one boss in the desert where it's just kind of stop and go and doing U-turns to hit his tail. Not really exciting stuff. I was expecting like the Bolt Forge final boss to be like only using the motorcycle or something. That never really happens till I guess the third boss in the Flare Pool does kind of use the other configuration, which the other configuration was, except for that part, which is a way to get past lava, so it's kind of a glorified dune buggy. And I didn't like that. I'm like, why is this even here if you're not gonna do anything with it? It really annoyed me. Then just the abilities themselves, they didn't add anything new. There's like one new ability. Everything else was from Metroid Prime 1, just a psychic slapped on it. I'm like, oh no, now I can go on psychic railways with my spider ball, I'm like, but if it was just a regular railway, it would have just worked the same way, or even the psychic platforms and stuff. So I don't know. Metroid Prime 3 had more original abilities than Metroid Prime 4 did. It was just Metroid Prime 1's abilities, a psychic tied onto them. I wish they could have done more after 18 years.
Is I mean, the only difference I can think of for 3 is that you get the screw attack and like a wall jump. Those are the only differences I can
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I don't think there really was much of 3. I had to look it up. They did have the ice beam, but I guess you can just say that's the ice. But yeah, at least 2 had screw attack. I mean, that was kind of cool, even though it's clunky as crap.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty clunky and the way it was implemented in those games. But to be honest,
I'm like, I love that game, but I'll admit, screw attack is really clunky. So maybe they could have, after 18 years, figured out how to make screw attack not clunky anymore.
Yeah.
But I wish they would have just leaned into kind of the more bike and speed look and the psychic, maybe like, why can't I use my psychic abilities to throw the enemies and the other enemies, or put Shine Spark into this? Like, Samus has a motorcycle suit now, pretty much. Like, why can't she go fast in it?
Or almost like Jedi mind trick and be able to like mind control an enemy and do some
Yeah.
fun other
Mhm.
other mechanics, other battle mechanics with that, you know?
It's like, I wish they leaned into the psychic instead of just, you can now see into the psychic dimension. It's kind of like, okay, then there was no other visor except just the scan visor. The other games had cool stuff. This one didn't. It just put psychic stuff in the scan visor, which sometimes was clunky controls when you're trying to like not scan something but shoot out your beam, but it keeps scanning it. That was weird to me.
I don't know. I guess
They just should have made a separate psychic visor, I thought.
I guess I've got another hot take. I loved that they were combined. I maybe that's a weak. I'm different from everyone else. I kind of didn't love the different visors in the first game. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I
didn't.
think it was
I
the
didn't like-
immersion effect of it,
Yeah.
like when it's dark, you have to use the infrared visor to see around, is things like that, the X-ray to see like invisible stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, it is cool, but I kind of hated exploring entire areas that way. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
So when people are like talking about, oh, it doesn't have 20, a bunch of different visors, I liked that it was combined with scan. I liked that I didn't have to switch a visor to do one or the other.
Yes.
Yeah. I wish that they didn't have the shoot button, the same scan button though.
Is it?
Yeah.
I never had that problem.
It
Where?
was that it only happened like a few times to me, but I was like, had to look away from my target to shoot, and it was like, why can't there just be another button?
I think there
That's
might,
interesting. I don't know if that happened to me either.
I think there might be.
Maybe you can.
I think it was not. I think it was ZL for scan and ZR for shoot, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I had the problem you're describing where I was accidentally scanning when I.
Yeah, that's probably a mute point of me. I don't know, but that was what happened to me sometimes. But also the stupid. I hated Samus's fangirl because she was acting like Samus was her best friend when Samus would just stare at her, saying nothing.
Yeah.
To be fair, she stared
That was
at
the point.
everybody though.
Yeah,
That's true.
at least they didn't think she was her best friend, though. Even Miles was like even like put off by it at like some points. Well, this girl is just like would never like let it go. Like I love Samus. She doesn't talk to me. Completely ignores me and like.
And Duke's there just like chill out. Hey, like back off.
And there's Duke there saying weird stuff, or I'm like, it's just like, Bill, what is it? This piece of cake, red velvet cake. I was like, what the heck did you just say? I don't know why that one thing he said stuck in my head for so long, because I was like, what? But yeah, he wasn't bad. I mean, the sniper wasn't bad. Not even Miles was really bad, even though he kept reminding me to get green crystals. And I'm like, what do you think I've been doing for the 2 hours, Miles?
Well, one of the complaints I had about Miles, it wasn't so much, yeah, because there are bits where he's annoying and he says some pretty cringy things, as was mentioned earlier. But it was the fact that his reminders came at the most ridiculous times. Like, I was literally on my way to do the thing, and he's like, by the way, why don't you do this? And I'm like, shut up, I know. But, you know, like David said earlier, that can be fixed. That can be patched with maybe an option in the menu to turn off, you know, unnecessary soliciting. But I don't know. You know, we're all going to have varying degrees of opinions with this game, and I think that's great. I think that's, you know, that just
It's
shows
because we're so passionate, man.
Yeah.
Right.
That Metroid.
Yeah, I love this game series, so I'm gonna be completely critical of it when I don't like it. But
I think that's good, and I think that's hard for a lot of people to do, honestly, to be open and honest. I think a lot of people tend to see it through rose-colored glasses. Is that the right way to use that phrase? I don't know. Where they're just like, it's perfect always.
I'm the one of rose-colored glasses, I guess, because I like the old games.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And then there was another thing with Miles. Why the heck did you have to go and to get your gun upgrades from him? All the other games, you just got it on the spot. It was kind of a weird decision. 18 years later, we go backwards with backtracking.
I will support that. I was like, you're gonna make me go back into the launcher and then walk to the guy, and then he's.
That's
I was like, shouldn't Samus know how to do this herself? She's always before.
She's always been doing this. Why now?
Yes.
But listen,
Yeah.
listen, this is yet another thing they could patch easily. Like
They
this is,
could, but will they?
Yeah, I doubt they will.
but listen,
There's so much dialogue tied to it.
I think of games like Cyberpunk that started off real bad, but they eventually patched it and made it something that people love. So
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah. I don't know if Nintendo has ever done that with one of their games before. It comes out bad and they patch it for like 2 years straight.
well, look, what are they doing right now? They're being weird. They just patched Donkey Kong Country Returns. So
That's true.
they're like
that's
starting this
true.
new thing. They're
Except
starting
this one already has a Switch 2 edition.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but no, some of the patches haven't been for Switch 2 editions, like Pikmin 4, and Animal Crossing got a big update that wasn't directly tied.
Was Super Mario Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 only?
That wasn't
big
that one is.
update.
Nope.
Okay.
But look, so I'm not thinking it's impossible, right? I think
Sure.
Nintendo could patch this. These things that people hate about it, they're all things that could fix pretty easily. It goes back to my argument that the foundation of this game is really solid. It's great, and you know, if this, you know, like Jack's saying, he hated the green crystals. What if they adjust it so that it's less obtrusive? What if they make Miles more quiet and make it so you don't have to backtrack back to Miles in order to get some of those gun upgrades? So
I would just love to see them add more to Soul Valley to make it more interesting. The point where it got too much for me was at the tail end, where I did collect that 75%, and I thought I had enough from all the other green crystals that I collected, and then I'd go out and I'd collect more, and I'm like, surely I have enough. So then I'd go through the launcher, go back, put them in, and it's like, oh, you need like 2% more, and I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yeah, I did keep going back, hoping that it wouldn't. But the worst thing.
Anthony, yeah.
Go ahead, Anthony.
The menu shows you. You just go in your menu and it'll tell you if it's time for an upgrade for a yummy to get from it.
It's true.
Yeah, I went for all.
See, and I
yummies, but
I guess I didn't realize. I did too. I went back when it was said like, hey, and I think Miles even calls you and is like, hey, you should come back and check out the green crystal thing, deposit your
sure
green
he does.
crystals. And so I would do that, but for some reason at the very end, I didn't think he would have done that until I did get that last 2%, and Miles calls me and is like, hey, you should come back now. And I'm like, great, so I'm pretty sure I got enough now.
Was right at the tail end. They're like, hey, here's a radar to show you where all the green crystals are. I'm like, Thanks, I already got them all.
I did think that timing was a little weird,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
They could move that up, give you the radar sooner or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a
Yeah.
25%. But another weird thing that Miles does, he completely lies to you at the beginning of the game when he's like, you can go anywhere. Nope, you can only go to the flare pool, then back to the ice area. So they could probably adjust that. Just have Miles say, go to flare pool.
It was kind of a throwaway line where it's like, yeah, it's up to you which order you want to go or whatever. And then like, and then, you know, the upgrades do require for you can't fully explore all these areas without some of the items you need. But
It's true. And I did try to visit them out of order. And I was like, oh, nope, can't do this one. Can't do this one.
And just wasted people's time.
although he saved me some time at one point. I left the ice area too early, and he's like, hey,
Oh, they've done that too.
did you get everything at that area? You know, you might want to make sure you got everything. And I was like, there was, on my way out, there was like this little cutscene that showed something. I was like, I tried to get it. I was like, I guess I can't get it yet. So I left. And then when he said that, I was like, well, I better go back. I must be able to get it. So I was going to like waste time backtracking. And
Yeah, I do that a couple
times.
times.
Once. It was helpful for him to like say something. So at that point, I was grateful for him. He saved me some time. They just got to find the balance of when
Yes.
to have him give reminders. But
Agreed. Yeah.
So I think Nintendo could have saved a lot of grief if they just named the game Metroid Beyond. Because it's so different from all the other Prime games. And also, all their advertising completely missed Miles until, like, what was it, a few weeks before launch? They had an entire year to acclimate everybody to the issue that, hey, there's going to be NPCs in this game around, like, every corner, and they're going to be a huge thing in the game, you know?
See, I don't even feel like they would be that annoying if they just gave voice acting for Samus. That's one thing that I don't think they could easily patch in. That's where I think I would disagree with David's DLC thing. Like they would have to almost rewrite some of their lines so that the dialogue made sense with what she said. But
well, listen, there's moments where they like pause and she like gestures or like it looks like there was going to be voice acting. That's what I mean. Like it looked like they were listening to her or something, you know, like there was moments where it felt like there should be reply but there wasn't, and that goes with what I'm saying. Like they would
that they could just patch it and then or just insert it there, in those moments. Yeah.
So it might not be perfect. Maybe they would have to change dialogue slightly. I don't think it would be the hardest thing ever. They're not having to reanimate everything, is what I mean.
Sure. No, that's fair.
Right.
Yeah. I just wish Nintendo would choose a lane and just be like, okay, this is an action game. We're going all in. Samus is going to talk. The NPCs are going to be important to her. Like, they went too halfway with Metroid Prime 4 is what I think. With Samus not talking just made it so awkward, and I didn't care about the NPCs because, frankly, I don't think Samus did either because she's not mute in the Metroid Prime universe because they just confirmed that Metroid Prime takes place between Super Metroid and Fusion. So I can't be like, maybe she's just mute in this alternate universe because it's not an alternate universe anymore. Which, I don't know if they should have done that because now Ridley somehow came back from Super Metroid.
Ridley just
That's
has
confirmed now.
just has
Came back twice.
Oh,
Guy never dies. He'll be back in the next Metroid Up the Dread.
no, listen, this is not his second. He's come back like 5 times. So
Yeah. And now he's going to come back even more.
Here it goes.
anyway,
I'll hear it first. He's
Well-
coming back after Dread.
hey,
All right.
That's another thing I did love about Metroid Prime 4 is that there weren't returning villains. It was all new faces.
Well, Silex is a returning villain.
Well, I didn't play that game, so.
Not for David, it wasn't.
You never defeated him. He's not truly, right? There were little. He was still doing stuff. So
Yeah, I kicked his butt in Metroid Prime Hunters, though.
Yeah, same. It was fun. I liked it.
so
All right. Oh,
And one last thing. Does anybody know where the Metroid plot point went? There's like this whole Metroid plot point of Silex using it, to mind control the space pirates. So then sometimes there'd be enemies of Metroids, then just kind of just went away.
that's for Metroid Prime 5, Jack.
I guess
agreed.
so.
Yeah, that was the prequel. This is a prequel to 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't
We
know.
all got sidetracked here, and that other plot is still waiting for everyone to get back. But I was talking to Anthony about this theory. Anthony, it looks like you're ready to talk about it. Did you have something?
Well, go ahead and say what you were going to say. I was going to throw one last thing in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just that, because Anthony and I were saying, like, what was Silex doing? You do like these little skirmishes, like these little battles with Silex throughout Metroid Prime 4, and you find out almost every time that it was like this robot with psychic energy was strong psychic energy was making the robot have some Silex appearance and abilities. And we're like, what was Silex ever actually there at any of the points throughout the game? And Anthony and I were like, no, I don't think so. I think he was in that tower the whole time.
Huh?
Early on, you go to Volt Forge and you try to go to Volt Forge so you can explore there and get Viola. And suddenly that force field goes around the main tower out in the desert, and these robots, the Cybots, will launch and come attack you before you can go into Volt Forge. And Anthony and I were thinking, like, Silex is in the tower the whole time, and he probably also got psychic abilities. He's finding some way to control these Cybots long distance with psychic energy, and attack
There you
you,
go.
mess you up. And the same with
Makes sense.
a lot of the creatures, the bosses you end up fighting. If you scan them, it does say, okay, they've been changed by Metroids, right? They're being controlled by Metroids. And I think Silex is in that tower. He was in one of those recovery bubbles, right?
Yeah.
At the start of the game, you see Samus shoot him, and he goes down before the artifact goes off. So he must have been injured enough that he spent the whole game in one of those recovery pods. But he was using psychic energy to mess things up and send whatever Metroids came with him to kind of take over these large creatures. So there's more to tell there. I think that it was something that they didn't. It was awkward kind of weird that we didn't have more with it in this game. But I think that they have a plan for it for future games.
I just
That'd
like
be kind of cool.
that he got lucky and just got teleported right in like the tower's controls center, and it was like, oh, I guess I can mess with Samus here now.
Yeah, he obviously
Oh,
he was doing everything remotely somehow, right? With psychic energy. So he kind of had a counterbalance where Samus gets these psychic powers, but he's obviously able to do something with them too, from a distance. And I think the idea is that he realized he needs these psychic keys from these guardians, and so that's probably why we're being controlled by Metroids. He probably sent his Metroids that he's learned to control to try and get those psychic keys, and didn't really work out for him from a distance. So anyway,
there you go. Anthony, do you want to add one more thing before we wrapped up?
David covered it pretty well. I just took pains during my second playthrough to scan the pod, and noted that it made a special point to say that it amplifies psychic abilities. And right before you trigger the whole ending sequence, you'll notice that 2 of them are empty and one of them is still mysteriously closed. I don't know. It just it seems like, given what the narrative establishes as, hey, all of those things you had to fight to get the teleporter keys were actually charged to give them to you. So why didn't they? And for that matter, why would they put the force field around the tower if the whole point was for you to get off the rock? And Silex is the answer. Is how I took it. But I know it's nice.
Yeah, it's kind of unsaid, but you put the pieces together, you realize that was kind of what was going on the whole time. So kind of interesting.
I like that.
And you know, I want to see what happens next with. I hope we get a Metroid Prime 5, and I think even though he didn't have a huge obvious role in this game, Metroid Prime 4, like I'm interested to see Silex come back. If you unlock some of the gallery videos, you get to see a little bit of his backstory, and again, that also feels like there's some things left unsaid, some details that we're still missing.
I love it.
Nope, the
All
team
right.
will have killed Silex.
Yeah, that's right. All right, guys. Well, we have gone well overboard what we were supposed to. So, if you enjoyed all this rambling and all this salt and all this discussion, then you should definitely be subscribed and like this video and ring the notification bell so you're notified whenever we do another review or have another video come up. And until next time, guys, keep it nerdy.
Keep it nerdy.
Keep it nerdy.